I'm telling you, man.
Look at that speed at the top, 2610.
So good. Don't ever change your swing. Don't ever let anybody change your swing.
Yeah, don't be messing with this.
Just my chipping.
Just your chipping. We can fix that.
Yeah.
So if you've been watching the PGA Tour for the last 2 years, you've seen the sudden rise in a new leader in the club head speed and driving distance category, a young 20-year-old Aldrich Potgieter from Pretoria, South Africa. So Aldrich joined us here at TPI right after he won a Korn Ferry event, actually being the youngest player to win a Korn Ferry event. So obviously he's hitting it pretty good right now, but when we asked him, like, how could we help? Right? He really had 3 wishes. Wish number 1 was, he said, I want to make my superpower even better. I always praise players that do this. He said, my superpower is my driving distance. If I can hit it far, I even want to hit it farther, which is great. Second thing, he said, I just want to improve my iron striking just a little bit better, because it's not a weakness, but I just feel like I can get better. And then he said, all around short game. Take a look at it from chipping to putting just to see if there's any areas where we can improve.
If you like videos like this and more content from my TPI, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below. We'll keep you notified anytime a new video launches.
Elbows locked, keeping your back pressed flat against the wall and your head against the wall. Raise your shoulders up, keeping your elbows locked. If you get to a point where you feel like you have to arch your back, stop. Pretty easy?
Yep.
Okay, come on right here. Nice and slow. Ooh, I like that. Come back. Keep those knees together and do that again for me. Back to center. And let me see, switch legs. Keep those knees together. Nice and slow, keeping those knees touching. Go ahead and turn left. Keep those knees together. Come on back. Dude, that is like crazy flexible. Love that. So as always, the first thing we like to do is do a movement screen. Kind of gives us an idea of where their mobility and stability is. And with Aldrich, it's very clear, very quick that this young man has a lot of range of motion, a lot of mobility. Either side feel easier?
The right definitely feels a little bit.
Okay, keeping the knees together, slowly rotate to the right as far as you can. And then come on back to center, switch legs. Keep those knees together and rotate left as far as you can. And back to center. That is crazy good. For example, spine rotation. When you sit down and try and turn your shoulders from right to left, normal is about 50 degrees. Aldrich was 65 degrees to the right and 70 degrees turning left. That's an incredible power to be able to have no restrictions when you rotate your trunk. Check out this hip, totally relax there. It's good to be young and flexible. I like this. 36. 36, 42. And then when you look at the hips, he had 36 degrees of internal rotation on both sides. Exactly what a player needs to be able to have the mobility to get the club back really far and be able to create some power. Keeping your heels on the ground. Can you keep the bar over your head? Yep.
Feels like you need weight. More weight can help.
Okay, let me see this. There was really only 3 things that showed up. Number 1 was toe touch, which is kind of weird. Standing, bending, touching your toes, and the squat. Let me see, do the same thing, keeping your heels on the ground. Go down as low as you can. Okay. How far can you get your knee in front of your toe? And then let me compare that to the other side. Let me see the right. Let me see you go flat on your back and bring your knees tight to your chest. The thing that those two have in common is the hip needs to be able to flex, like bringing your knee to your chest. Take both hands, grab onto your right leg, pull towards your left shoulder. And now do the same thing with this one to the right shoulder and tell me if either one's tighter.
Definitely left.
Left's definitely tighter? Okay. And that's where we found a little bit of mobility restriction of him trying to bring his knees to his chest, so it was affecting his toe touch and his squat. And then there was just a little bit of rotation problems turning his head to the left. Touch my thumb with your chin, and then come over here and touch my thumb with your chin. Is that harder over on this side?
A little bit.
Okay. Everything left with you. So with those 3 limitations, toe touch, squat, and the neck, what does that make me think? Well, anytime your toe touch is restricted and your squat is restricted, there's a very high possibility that you're going to lose posture in your golf swing, right? It's kind of, we look at these, we call these cluster analysis, where we look at certain physical characteristics can create certain swing characteristics. And this is one of the highest correlations here is limited toe touch, limited squat. Players tend to early extend, they move towards the ball, they tend to stand up a little bit, so we're going to for sure be looking for that in his swing. 21.9, can you beat that? 21.967. 21.967, okay. So once we're done doing our movement screen, we move into power. And this is where I'm really excited to see because, again, I know this is a superpower, his driving distance. So we jump into the power testing. In our power testing, we're checking 3 things: your lower body power, your core power, and your upper body power.
Okay, that's good right here.
Now, what's really interesting here with Aldrich is his numbers were slightly below PGA Tour average, which doesn't make any sense. You got one of the longest players in the game, and it's really not a huge engine, right? I would expect it to be more like a long drive engine. His vertical jump was 21 inches, his sit-up and throw test was 19 feet, and his chest pass was 19 feet. So he was pretty balanced across the board, but on average, PGA Tour, it's 23-inch vertical, it's a 22-foot sit-up and throw, and a 22-foot chest pass. So he's slightly below PGA Tour average when it comes to overall power.
Come back up. Could you do that 8 times if I asked you?
Probably.
Try the other leg forward. Could you do it 8 times?
I'm going to struggle.
Okay, so the left one forward's harder.
Yeah.
Okay, you can put those back. 8 times?
Maybe not.
Let me see your left arm.
No.
So anytime we have a player creating incredible club head speed, but the size of their engine doesn't match what we're seeing on the course, gives me 2 things to think about. One is concerning. So one is that, hey, if the club's creating all this speed, but the supporting structure, the foundation's not big enough, well, these things can break. It's like if you're trying to build a skyscraper, but you didn't really put a good footing or foundation, that's not a really good idea. So I want to make sure, number one, that he's not swinging so fast that his body can't support it.
Oh, that was close. Yeah, we're gonna break some. Hard as you can. Okay. Relax. Hard as you can. Good, those are equal. Good, take that, like that.
Then the other thing that we're thinking is there's other ways to create speed, right? So we're looking at your lower body power, your core, and your upper body, but you can do things with like your wrists. And I know for a fact from watching this young man play, I know there's a lot of wrist set, so it wouldn't surprise me if one of his superpowers is getting speed from the hands to the club. So we're gonna be looking for those.
Big takeaway here is squat, toe touch, or off, make me think early extension. The most common swing correlation here is a little bit of this, early extension, loss of posture through to the swing. So I'm gonna look for that. If we see some of that, then this will help that a lot. All right, golf shoes back on. Let's go do a couple hitting real quick.
So you know, when we were talking in Florida, and his driver, he kept kind of heel swiping.
That would make sense.
That's coming.
That would make sense. Do you have the two? Do you have the occasional 2 misses? Do you have the block right and the occasional hook?
Yeah, the last 2 weeks has been blocked right.
Okay, yeah, come on. I think I know what's going on. Let's go this way.
So one more piece of information that I think is important is that Dino Antonucci, our fitter out there, one of the best in the business that was helping him, tells me that with the driver he was hitting a little bit towards the heel. Now that kind of matches what I was seeing with the mobility screen, that if you can't touch your toes and you can't squat, you might early extend, which makes you move towards the ball. If you move towards the ball, guess what? Instead of the ball being in the center of the face, it moves the heel or the hosel towards the ball, and it can make you hit more towards the heel. So now I'm getting a couple signs that we need to look at that posture and making sure he's maintaining it during his swing.
Double plate ready.
That was perfect.
Double plate ready.
It's good stuff.
Double plate ready.
What was that? Okay, keep moving up. We're gonna go up to the driver.
So when it comes to looking at a player's swing, the first thing that we like to do is look at how they create power, and that comes down to ground reaction forces and using our force plate. First thing that pops out for sure is the timing of when he does this.
Double plate ready. Double plate ready. Double plate ready.
One of the secret superpowers of really long hitters is they create their ground reaction forces early in their swing. In other words, the sooner you start pushing from the ground, the more time you have to transfer energy from the ground to the club. Normally, most players are done with their ground reaction forces when the shaft's vertical. With Aldrich, the shaft's almost still touching his shoulder. So it's really early, more of what we see with a long drive competitor. And I think a lot of that has to do with his wrist set. Kind of we're suspecting that his wrists were a part of his superpower, but it allows a lot of lag and it keeps the club behind them. So he has time to create those ground reaction forces, and more importantly, he has time to now transfer that to the club.
All right, I'm gonna take a look at this real quick. I'm gonna say where his peak vertical is, where the shaft is. Are we talked about that? That is. I'm talking Greek, but it's really good. You get some really good stuff here.
Another superpower is the amount of vertical force he creates. One of our highest correlations to club head speed is vertical force into the ground. Aldrich produces 230% vertical force into the ground. Average on tour is 200. So he's about 30% more of body weight force into the ground. And now he weighs 230 pounds, so he's actually he weighs more than most players, so he's actually creating more force. It turns into almost 540 pounds of force into the ground, or almost 2,400 newtons into the ground. Now, from the science world, that's a lot. So I know he's creating a lot of ground reaction forces that he'll be able to use, and he's doing it early.
There's a lot of guys that walk in the store trying to genie bottle that power that's natural.
Can I see you set up to that ball one more time, real quick?
Driver?
Yep.
Now, what do I see that's showing up that might concern me? I'm suspecting that potentially there's some early extension, him moving towards the ball. So one of the things with players that early extend is because they early extend, whether they know it or not, they instinctively start to move farther away from the ball because they keep hitting the heel. So they get farther away, which compounds the problem and makes them want to early extend more. So one way to test this is I have my players set up with their eyes closed.
Now, go ahead and set up athletic. Go ahead and set up.
Just
Keeping your eyes closed. Keeping your eyes closed. Set up like you're going to hit the ball. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, so that looks.
So I say, hey, okay, hold the club up in the air, eyes closed, and set up when it feels athletic. And a lot of times when they do that, they'll realize, oh my God, I'm so far from the ball. With Aldrich, though, when he did that, it actually looked pretty good.
Okay, so I love your swing. Really, really, really like your swing. I think you got some really cool. Actually, before I say this, you said iron was more tightening up the irons. Let me look at your iron real fast. Hold on. I mean, like, it's like 1.5 inches. That's why I'm like, I love this swing, but I think that's the thing that's the strongest physical correlation. And that's the one thing that I would probably, I think I might just, if I just tell him this, he might be able to just fix it without.
I think so.
So normally the pelvis is an ellipse, it's not a circle, right? So as you rotate, the right cheek goes behind the line.
Yep.
Perfect, right? And then as you weight shift, the left cheek should be clearly behind that line now. Okay, you have a tendency, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but the 3D will tell me exactly. You move somewhere between 1 and 2 inches closer to the golf ball. That's my guess, right? And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but if you start here, right, and now you move 2 inches closer, the hossel's in play. So you have to do something, some timing thing to keep this in there. Now, if I totally exaggerate, if I do this, like, I mean, my first instinct is this, which is the block, right? I do that enough, and then I get sick and tired of this, and I start to, and it creates the 2 miss.
All right, so now we get to the iron, and now we see a little different story, right? So I see on video when he was warming up, I do see the iron, looks like it's early extending a little bit. We confirm that by looking at the video. And then I do the, hey, let's see how far you are from the golf ball test with the iron.
Stand tall, eyes closed. Okay, set up, keeping your eyes closed. Okay, open your eyes. Is that a little closer than, like, open your eyes? So what you've done instinctively, because you move forward, you've gotten a little farther away. But that starts to feed the problem. Actually, if you look at some of the best players, like Tiger when he came out, everyone's like, my God, he's on top of the golf ball. Because what they do in their swing is they move away. You're moving towards. So you're actually accommodating the mistake. I'd actually prefer you get closer. So I actually think you just need to move like a quarter of the ball closer and then create space on the downside.
So what I've actually been working on lately is just a little bit takeaway instead of the wrist going that way.
Yeah.
It's more there.
Oh, it wouldn't be, it'd help if you're a little closer.
Yeah.
Because remember, if
And
you're
then-
far away, you're
And
going
then
here. Yeah.
coming down, because I like to see a fade,
Yeah.
we've actually been working to clear the hip so I can got space.
But just remember, if you're too far away and you clear, you'll miss the ball.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would try, like, get like a half a ball closer. And now your whole job is just don't shake it.
It doesn't seem like a big deal if you're only like a quarter of a ball or half a ball too far away, but with great players, that's a big deal, finding the center of the face. So with the iron, I definitely think we need to get a little closer to the ball. I really think it's that simple. Like I said, this is the strongest correlation for what we saw in the gym too. So I think if we get a little bit more flexibility in your hips here and ankles, I think it would just make this easier. So let's go to your normal setup again. Okay, look down at your hands and the club. What lines up with your toe line right here? So like this knuckle here.
Yeah.
That knuckle right there? Okay, get closer. Okay, what lines up with toe line now?
It's probably just inside the knuckle.
Okay, so that's where you need to be. Got it?
Almost here.
Yeah, just create space. It might be that, I mean, that's, I love what he's doing. I don't want to change a ton, but I'd love for you to fit that. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me tell you on the force plate what I was looking at. The force plate tells me how you move the club. There are certain forces that move the club up and down, and there are certain forces that move the club behind you and in front of you. It's the synchronization of those forces that move the club, and it gives me a good idea of how you're creating power and transferring power. If I look at most players, they go to the top of the backswing. The first thing we see typically is a weight shift. You're kind of like lateral going first. Then we see usually there's a little bit, I call it rock and roll. They go this is called frontal plane torque, but I just call it rock and roll. They rock a little bit, it brings the club down. Then they start to twist, and then they jump. That's the normal, what we call kinetic sequence. They go lateral, rock, twist, jump. So the first thing I look at is I go, do you do that? That's what we see with most of our players. Is that how you move the club, right? And when I looked at yours, the only thing that's a little weird is the lateral, but look where it is. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so here's what I see with you. Okay, so as you start your swing, the first thing I'm looking, see these yellow dots? Yep. Those are where each of those forces peak. Lateral, rock and roll, twist, and jump. The top one is lateral. The first thing I see that peaks on you is lateral, right there. That's where you're pushing the hardest this way. Now if I keep going, I'm looking to see what peaks next. You do a little twist before you rock. Okay, so there's a little twist. You say you like a cut?
Yep.
Guys who twist before they rock like a cut, because you kind of bring the club out in front a little bit, okay, it makes a little more of a cut. So you do a little twist, then you rock, and then you jump down here at the bottom. Yep. So, and by the way, we always look to see when you're jumping, where is it in your swing? We always say the best in the world, try and do that before the shaft's vertical. You're like all the way over here, which is incredible. Like it gives you a ton of time. That's where you generate a lot of speed. So your sequence is this, is you start lateral, right? I think it's because you have such a long swing that your first thing actually has to be rotate to get the club back out here in front, then you rock, and then you jump. So I don't know if that's a bad thing that you twist before you rock, because I just think you got such a long swing. I feel like if you're all the way over here and your first move is rock, this would be dead, right? So I think you know that, and you kind of do that anyway. Now, then I look at the percentages, right? And I go, okay, so how much force are you producing? Because you asked the genie for more distance. Normally, PGA Tour average right here is 200. That's 200% of body weight. You're pushing at 225% of body weight. That's already way above PGA Tour average. I look at twisting, how much you twist. PGA Tour average is 19% of your body weight. You're 24% of your body weight. Rock and roll is normally 21%. You're at 22.6, again higher. And then I get to lateral, you're at 14. PGA Tour average is 23. And I go, you're killing everything except for lateral. So there's not a lot of lateral push here.
That can sometimes happen though when you have a longer than normal swing, because you're going to twist first to get the club back in front of you. So we don't generally see as much lateral when you have a little bit longer swing, which is partly how you generate your speed. So.
If I look at quantity of how much he pushes, Aldrich is 14%. Now he does push for a longer period of time, so he has more what we call impulse, but 14's, that's almost half, right? So I'm looking at that and I'm like, you know, that's something we have to look at, because that can lead to a couple things. So number one, it could lead to things like hanging back, where you're not actually getting a good weight transfer, or it could be maybe you're going left early. If you're already left, it's kind of hard to go left. That can create some attack angle problems. And he said that his driver is a little spinny, so I'm starting to think, you know, if his attack angle is a little bit down, maybe he's not loading properly, and if you don't load properly, then you don't drive and push out of there.
So I think what happens is, and I've seen this through some of his ball flight, is he's producing the speed, but his launch characteristics are causing the ball to stall. But basically what it comes down to is he creates a little bit lower launch than guys, and he has more spin.
Okay,
because he's trying to control
then
it
this is what I would
and
do.
fail.
So this is where you can experiment out there, right? Yours is like a very centered swing, right? And you're kind of over here, and this is very down on the ground longer. That's why we don't see a lot of lateral. I might work on getting you a little more loaded onto your right side, like some of the big long drive guys, right? They load more on the right. As they take a backswing, they stay there, and now they can drive harder left. You can't drive left if you're already left, but if you stay over here and you can go left.
It's almost like this leg is longer, right? And then he stays there as he rides to the top, and then he has a lot of shift, which creates.
This will give you a higher attack angle too, which could potentially bring your spin down, your launch up. So if you came over here, you'd feel like you're going to launch it up higher, right? You kind of stay here and then you drive. Just the key is don't go this way, right? Get a little closer and this way. That's if you want to mess with that and see that.
This is the first fitting I've done with him, and it's probably the first fitting he's had since he said he was 16 or earlier. So we're going to take a look at some different things. They want to just double check iron shafts. I think X1s is a great jumping off point, but is there anything better? Driver, we talked about looking at something at 45 and a half, 44 and a half.
Okay, so I want you to do your normal swing, but when you get to that point and you say, hey, try something, I want to show you what to try. Set up like you're going to hit.
Okay, so after talking to Dino a little bit more, we're starting to hear a little bit more about what's happening to the golf ball. And Dino's confirming that it's more of a low launch, high spin, which kind of confirms probably attack angle issues, right? And if you look at Aldrich's swing, he is more of a center pivot, kind of swings without a lot of lateral weight shift. And if anything goes forward, a lot of times that can lead to this. It can lead to your body's too far in front of the ball, so you're going to be hitting down. And he has a lot of lag too, so sometimes if you have a lot of lag, the handle leans forward. All these things can create a low launch angle and can create these spin issues. So I think it would help him to be able to weight shift, right? Be able to load to the right and be able to drive left, because that'll actually help open the club face, right? And give him a little bit more launch angle, which he can then reduce his spin loft a little bit, but increase his speed. And that just is the formula for hitting the ball really far.
Imagine if your belt buckle is the center of your stance. Move it forward, good. Now move it backwards, all the way backwards. Keep going backwards, all the way backwards. Move it forward towards your left heel, and move it back towards your right heel. Now when you move back to your right heel, do you feel your right hip go up in the air?
Yep.
Okay, I want you to move it forward to your left heel. You feel your left hip go up in the air?
Yep.
Okay, now watch this. I want you to move it back, but keep your left hip high. Keep going back. Yep. That's the feeling you're going to try. Do you feel like this? Do you feel like you're going to launch?
Yeah.
If I was going to try one thing, now just remember, when you're there, now you got to go left, right? That'll be the lateral.
So you want me to go forward and then keep
Then
that?
move everything back. Yeah, now you look like you can launch it a mile up this way. Go ahead, hit one.
Feels like I'm sitting like this,
Hit one like that real quick. That's what he would try. And then you, after 3 swings, you say this or this with the launch monitor. Okay.
Big close as well?
Well, always a little closer, and it's never going to hurt. So you get your left hip high, then you bring it back. And this is just for driver, by the way, not the irons. Good. How weird is that?
It felt weird to set up, but once I swung it was
Okay.
all right.
I want you to look at that, see what that does.
But again, he's got so much force, and it's coming out at a low window.
I'm assuming you got to get the right head and everything and all that kind of stuff, and then I'd like to try that. Okay. Here.
It felt like I was a lot closer to the ground as well, kind of getting that.
Yeah.
there, and then
Yeah. It flexes the right.
go down.
It flexes the right knee at setup a little more. Yep. People ask what's the big difference between a driver and an iron? The big difference is the center of your mass on a driver should be behind the center of your stance, where an iron is usually in front.
Yep.
Right. That's usually the big difference. You kind of do the ball the same.
Yeah.
Or there. Okay, so at some point, we'll see if we can get 3D, but I don't think it's going to change what we tell you. It would just be more of, in case you came back and wanted to check yourself when you're 21 and when you were 19, you'll have the data.
Like,
This,
I'm
I'm
happy
pretty-
with what I've got. I just don't know if there's something better.
Now this is a little different experience when Aldrich was out here. We actually had to get his fitting done in the middle of our session. So we kind of got some ideas from the force plate. He's going to try some of these things with Dino when he's going through the fitting on the driver. Now I'm excited to get him back, because when he comes back, I wanted to dive into the 3D bay to really see where some of this power is coming from. But before that, we actually took him out to look at the short game, one of the things that he was hoping to look at. So while we still had light, we wanted to dive into that first.
Yeah, it's mostly just an inconsistent spin.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
Yeah. It's funny, like when you watch pitching techniques, a lot of your like impact alignments with your full swing will match your short game. And I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time watching your swing. Obviously, we watched it today. You tend to have more of a shut face, but you're perfect at the top, which is great. But then you have, like, if I look at your release, you tend to be a little bit more square-faced, which there's good players that are square-faced. It's a little bit more timing driven. If you're lacking spin or the spin's not consistent, I would open the face a little bit, right? So I would just try the same technique with a little bit more of an open face. So that'll allow you a little bit more spin loft, and then I would get the shaft a little bit further forward so that you still hit it at that height, but because of the extra loft, it should spin. So lean the shaft a little bit more forward, yep, with a little bit open face.
Can you hear the sound?
So it's a little bit more face, right? So you might want to lean just a little bit more left because that bounce will interact a bit. It shouldn't dig for you. So just keep yourself a little bit more left.
So one of the interesting things in golf that I think a lot of people get wrong is that they think that there's one golf swing. In other words, your driver swing is the same as your iron swing, which is the same as your chipping swing. And what's very clear to us here at Titleist is that if I look at the best in each of those categories, they don't do it the same way. In other words, a ball on a tee has a very different swing than a ball on the ground, which is very different than somebody doing, let's say, chipping or finesse wedges. And this is really, really important for short game problems and chipping. If you think your finesse shots around the green should have the same impact location as you do with your iron, usually you're going to struggle with your chipping because the best chippers in the world, that's not how they do it. They're not trying to create power now. They're trying to create distance control and finesse. And that's a very different impact location. But that's a very common mistake that a lot of players do. They just go, well, I just take my iron swing and I try and do that with my finesse chipping. That's not what the best in the world do.
So keep open the face and just shaft lean.
Just a little bit, because what shaft lean does is it'll keep the flight, but because the face is open, it won't de-loft the face. So you might want to be a little bit open and just, you counteract it by being a little bit open. So if I open the face, I usually open my body just as much. That forces me to keep the club head outside my hands. I never want pitches to go inside unless I'm trying to hit a running shot. Most good wedge players have the club outside their hands here so that when they turn, they're moving across and finishing it more this way, right? So a little bit open, a little bit face, yep, and that'll keep the club head out. Not bad. Try it again, yeah. The kiss of death with pitching is you never want the head getting behind the hands early, because then you kind of, yeah, there you go. Keep it a little bit more out. Handle in, club head out feeling. A little bit more towards me, yep. So those, the reason they're coming out a little bit thin and going too far is you're tending to back out of the shot just a little bit, right? I know you're on a bit of a slope, but I would put a little bit more pressure left. You got to stay left. You don't need to shift weight. And then you should kind of feel a little bit more of a thump of the ground. It's not going to dig, right? Good. There you go. You want to feel that little kind of brushing of the ground. So Gray, we're just looking at his pitching motion a little bit here. He was saying I'm a little bit inconsistent with the strike, like some of them will come up. He was a little square. I got his face a little bit open. He was a little square-faced, a little bit more this way. I got him a little bit more open, a little bit more shaft lean so that he can kind of finish a little bit more that way. Trying to keep the handle out a little bit more. So the only thing I saw is he came out of it a bit, hit a little bit bottom groovy. That was a little bit more of a, yeah, that was a little bit better there.
So Dave took a look at Aldrich's chipping and he saw something real quick. He saw that he's doing something that a lot of pros, a lot of amateurs do, and that is they get the club and the handle a little too far inside. Anytime you get the club inside and the face a little closed, which is very common, now the leading edge of the wedge tends to hit the ground, it tends to grab and create problems, and it creates inconsistent contact. So what Dave did was just said, hey, Aldrich, why don't we open you up a little bit? That makes the handle travel a little bit more out, which keeps the club from getting behind you, and maybe even open the face slightly to expose more of the bounce of the club. And right away, it was cleaning up some of the chipping.
The key is these buttons on your shirt. We always want them like a laser pointed in front, right? So that my chest is a little bit open, and that allows me to have that contact a little bit more.
One more time, let me get my video ready, okay.
Come a little closer, and grip a little bit more down, right? Get the face a little bit more open. And so that, because it's a shorter shaft, when you grip down, it's going to get you a little bit closer. It gets me a little bit more vertical. You're a little bit far away to me, and it wants to kind of go around.
Sound familiar? The swing?
Yeah.
Same thing in the full
Grip
swing.
down a little bit, yeah.
So another thing we noticed with his chipping, just like we saw with his irons, he's a little too far away. So I think getting a little closer to the ball with this chipping is going to help. This is something that's consistent across his game, and I think a lot of times when you're doing something, let's say with your 7-iron, don't be surprised if you're doing it with your putter as well. Very common that things bleed from one club to another.
Yeah, sit a little bit soft, yeah.
Elbows relaxed.
Soft
yeah.
arms, just let that club swing a little bit. Soften them. There you go. Just relaxed, yeah.
Yeah.
That looked better, didn't it? Now that
I think the key on short games like this, like Dave was saying, is there's no power, right? So you don't want to use your lower body a lot. You want very stable. You want your upper body, like most best wedge players are looking at their target when they're lining up. So they're not here, they're here, right this way. That allows the club to be steep, stays out, which is really important. So kind of making it more athletic. You're looking over like you're gonna do this. Over here, arms are relaxed, and it's upper body. You're not trying to do a full swing power move. I think that's just making it more athletic.
I mean, your technique's not bad. Don't think we're hammering you here. I'm trying to look at the consistency of the flight. You're right. I get it. It's a little bit of a groove low, and it's a little bit kind of, some of them land. And so the question is that the spin is inconsistent when it lands.
Right.
Sometimes it'll run out 4 feet. Sometimes it's 4 feet short.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just because the contact's different every time down here.
Yeah,
sometimes it's behind, sometimes it's forward. That's what's gonna do
Stabilize.
it.
Lean the shaft forward a little bit more. There you go.
Yeah.
See how the head went forward?
Yeah.
So Aldrich is complaining of consistent contact, and this is all players who struggle with short game. That's what they say. They're like, I wish it would just go the same distance every time, but I'm not hitting the same spot, or I'm hitting a groove. As Aldrich says, I'm hitting a groove low. Now, what does that mean? So first thing it means is that usually the bottom of his swing arc is moving. Because if remember, you want to hit the spot that you're looking at, right? If the bottom of your arc moves too far to the right, too far to the left, all of a sudden that spot changes every time. It's hard to coordinate these things. And if you're too far away from the golf ball, it makes you want to stand up or go forward towards the golf ball. When you stand up, the club elevates, and now the club hits the top of the golf ball, so the ball hits a couple grooves low on the face. That's another sign of being too far away or early extending in your chipping. All these things lead to inconsistent contact, which is death to finesse chipping. You want consistent contact so you can just focus on energy. I don't want you to worry about making contact. I want you to worry about how hard should I chip the ball.
I can tell you, the most important thing on wedges is the constant hitting the ground in the same spot. If the bottom's moving a lot, always problems. So the tendency you have that's getting you in trouble is, like I said, you go, I'm going to totally exaggerate.
Yeah.
You go shut and your head goes this way, and then you use this to kind of open it up, and that moves the arc back and forth. Keep this rotation too. It just makes the contact the same each time.
Yeah.
With wedges, you never want the contact to move left and right.
That's right.
So in my opinion, the best way to improve contact with finesse wedges is don't move the center of your swing arc. In other words, if your swing's rotating on an arc, I don't want the bottom moving right and left. Well, what makes me move right and left? It's usually your lower body, right? So we really want a quiet lower body, very stable lower body, so that when my upper body swings, the bottom of the swing arc isn't moving left and right and differently on every shot.
You go left this way. That was just a practice move, but your first thought was this. Yeah. The problem is, if you go here and stay here, that's not a problem. But if you go here and then you come back over here, that's a problem. Yeah.
That's the inconsistent strike.
And you can see you have that. You felt it. You see, you want to go forward.
Yeah, you felt.
That's good. As long as you can feel it, you can practice it. You can knock it out. Come over here in the bunker real quick. Pretend the line's the ball.
I got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna splash.
You're gonna get sand.
You're gonna
there,
get
buddy.
sand.
I'm gonna get sand all over.
He's okay.
He's all right.
Now keep going down the line. Keep going down the line.
Okay, so we get in the bunker, and now some things become even more clear, right? We do this line drill. We draw a line in the sand, and we have players try and hit the line. Now, if your bottom of your swing arc's moving left and right, it's really difficult to enter the same spot. And that's very consistent with players who struggle with consistent chipping. But we get in the sand and all of a sudden it looks better, right? So we're like, hey, this tells me that, hey, when you're in the sand and you dig your feet in, you're kind of stabilizing your foundation, your base, and it allows you to stabilize your swing arc. So I know we were right when we were talking about earlier, we got to get his lower body stable. But there's also another phenomenon that happens here too, is when your lower body's moving left or right, if my lower body moves to the right, where does my chest do? My chest wants to move to the left. If my lower body moves to the left, my chest wants to move to the right. So it almost creates this, like, this teeter-totter over here versus rotation, right? So I think when we get your lower body stable and we focus on just turning, things get a lot better. The bottom of the arc doesn't shift, and now consistency is possible.
What you're looking for is entry point, right? This is a great drill to just see if, am I entering the same pot every time? If you're moving back and forth, that's really hard to do. That was actually better than I thought you were going to do. Okay.
But I didn't see you moving back there.
Yeah, I felt more stable.
That's the
There you
sand
go.
probably help you.
Core a little bit more and just
That's
So
the
that's what
same
I'd
thing
like to
here.
see there.
Imagine
it's the
if we
same
could
thing, it's just a shorter shot. You stable, engage your core, almost feel like you're hitting a bunker shot and just let the club do the work, right? Because you're rocking it, right?
hit a bunker shot. Let me see, hit a bunker shot to that flag. Just from the grass.
Actually, you used the bounce beautifully there, right?
I'll just get an idea what it feels like to keep that base stable. Yeah, that was nice.
That was
right there.
good. Yeah.
Just turn, yeah.
Stay centered, like 70-30
I
on
think
that front
the
foot.
face being more open will help you. You don't have to feel like you have to do
Yeah,
that too.
That's what I was trying
So
to
just
do.
rotate.
I know
Yeah,
you
like
hit a
that. That
couple
was
high.
beautiful right there. That's beautiful. Yeah,
That was good.
that's perfect.
Yeah, really good.
You can feel you have this tendency to want to do that. So just get rid of that. It'll get
Get
better.
rid of that. You'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Okay, so the good news is I think we now know what the problem is, and I think Aldrich, more importantly, knows what he needs to go practice. I think we're at that point now with a lot of players, once the searching is gone and they know what they need to do, now they just need to go practice that. So I think we're all confident if he goes and works on this will get better. Now we're going to go to the putting green.
Putt.
Pretty damn good right there. So let me see just a couple of shorter ones, like 5-6 footers right here. Let's do a slightly different lines. It's pretty good. So your setup and your tendency is very similar to what you do in your swing, right? If anything, watching these two putts for me, you're very slightly closed. Your right elbow is way below your left, which is great. I never want it above your left, but it's a tendency with your setup. The face, if anything, comes back probably a little more closed to the path, but through impact, it's beautiful. Like you're not moving back out of the putt or anything like that. So you started it on your line. So the only way this would get weird is if you're not matching your start line, and if it's a little bit shut, do you struggle more on most
Left.
slightly shut players are good at right to left.
Yeah,
but
left
they're
to
not
right
as
would
good
be a
as left
struggle.
to rights because they don't play it high enough.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing that I've seen mostly with my putting is if I've got a right to lefter,
Yeah.
I kind of have to hit it softer,
Yes.
and then the left to right, I have to hit a little bit firmer.
You
for it to
would.
go in.
Yeah. So if you think about what I just said, with you being, you're kind of a little bit. This is a little bit under this. You take it back. It's square to your path, but it's just a little bit shut, right? So yeah, if I'm coming this way, I'm going to have to hit a little bit softer because of the speed coming off.
Well, it's going to be less lofted.
It's going to be less lofted, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, something interesting on putting is sometimes players are really good with right to left breaks and not so good with left to right breaks, or vice versa. And you can think of, there's lots of things that can cause this, but a very common one is if a player, like we saw with Aldrich in his chipping, if the club gets inside and you swing from in to out, it's the feeling of the club head moving out away. A lot of times on a right to left break, you actually start the ball out to the right pretty easy because you're used to swinging that way. So you got the face a little bit shut and turning in, and you feel like you can swing the putter out and start it high of your break. But because you're kind of going in to out, when you had a left to right break where you really need to start the ball more left, if you're swinging in to out, it's hard to start it left, right? So a lot of times they underread their break, or they start the ball a little too far to the right with a left to right break. And I think we're seeing a little bit of this with Aldrich.
So I was asking, you asked about putting.
Yeah.
There's 3 things that you have to be good at to be a good putter. You gotta read the green,
Yeah.
start the ball on the line you read, and hit it at the right speed.
Yeah.
If one of those is a problem that needs to get better, which is the problem?
I think it's matching the right line with the right speed, and then sometimes I choose it and then I don't hit the right.
Speed.
I think it's mostly speed.
Yep.
Don't really concentrate on it or whatever. Like it's just like a little detail.
So can I ask a
Just
question?
touch.
Just some simple question is, what's the last thing you're thinking about before you putt?
Before I putt,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I
Pay
can't-
pay attention. I don't know is not going to work here. You're going to tell me what you're thinking. So let's say you're going to make this. I want to know exactly like your last thought.
It's just straight back, straight through.
Okay, that's what I think the problem is.
Okay.
I love your stroke. I love your whole game. Dave, I honestly you like his stroke, right? Like I like your stroke.
I
So
like his stroke. I like his stroke.
here's what he just said, because I think this is the problem. He said my last thing is make sure it goes straight back, straight forward. I think he's controlling line.
Yeah.
So out of all the things we test with putting and with some of the best putters in the world, I would say by far the most important when it comes to the best players in the world is speed control. In other words, you got to be able to read the green, you got to be able to start the ball on the line, and you got to be able to control speed. But when I look at the best putters in the world and I ask them, hey, what do you think your superpower is or what are you good at? They all say speed. Bad putters always say, I'm not so good with speed. So this is a big deal. When somebody says, hey, I feel like my speed's off, we really need to double down on this.
You're ready. Get with me. It's like you're doing a free throw. Are you trying to control where your hand is?
No.
Are you looking at the basket and trying to figure out energy?
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you do the same thing here?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that matters. Because if your inconsistency is I'm long one time and short the next time, you weren't thinking of speed. Trust that you spent enough time on your alignment and all that kind of stuff that's good. Now it's make the free throw. That usually makes the speed consistent.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I totally agree with Greg. I mean, taking something out of who I think is the best putter on the planet right now, right? When he comes in, his routine is amazing in that when he walks into the putt, he always aims the putter first. You'll see his hand on his leg like this. He'll aim the putter, right? And then he'll take his stance while he's going in. And he keeps looking. He'll take one look to check it, one look back, and then as his hands come back, he goes ahead and hits the stroke, right? There's so much down there. He's never thinking about this. There's
Free throw.
No
You're looking at the
thought
rim. You're not looking at your hand.
Yeah.
Free throw. You're never looking at your hand.
here. Nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with your stroke, but the tendency will be, if you feel recoil, you're getting inside and shut, which de-lofts it, and if you let it go, it's going to come off with no loft and it's too fast. So when you tell me that I feel like I've got to slow down a little bit or there's this recoil, I think it's because it's getting shut, right? So to me, you're right-eye dominant, right? Most right-eye dominant players, they're better off being a little bit open because they see the line better this way if they step in. If you allow your eyes to set your body,
That'll take the putter out farther too. It won't go in as much.
it won't go in as much. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So similar to what we're seeing over there in the wedges, you're a little square, you're not a little open. I'm not saying get open with your putting. I'm just saying I would love you to walk in, aim it, step in, and just see where you are. Because you might not be as closed.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, hell, you shot 59. You're not a bad putter, right? Aim it first, and then take your stance while you're looking. You can if you want. You don't have to. Are you a line guy? Yeah, so put your line down. Yeah, that's fine. So what I would do is I would walk in, I would put the putter behind the ball, square it to that line. And now keep looking at your target and take your stance. Keep looking at your target, take your stance, take your stance. Perfect.
Now it's all energy.
See, you're actually a little bit inside there, right? Yeah. So that's just going to be your tendency. You're a little bit inside. Your right arm sits a little bit lower than your left, right? So, in the Faxon era when he was an amazing putter, this would match perfectly. The hands would come in like a book and you could lay a shaft on top. It wasn't like this. It definitely wasn't like this. You're a little bit under. If I'm a little bit under, this elbow's a little too into my side, it's going to want to go around.
And should it help if he's a bit open not to shot it?
Yeah, just, that was actually pretty good right there, yeah.
It's great speed. I mean, it's great speed. That's what you should practice. You should just be practicing speed. Speed control, speed.
Speed.
Because like you said, the line only matters if you hit it the right speed, or else you should have read a different line.
Exactly.
So the speed's everything. Like if you don't hit the right speed, then the line didn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. I keep feeling like I'm setting up left.
You're not though.
Yeah.
So I look at that, I'm like, speed. We need speed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Greg's right, is that if the speed gets inconsistent or you feel that rebound, just be careful you're not getting inside and shut. That's all.
Yeah.
And I would just do that little check every now and then. And I don't know whether you use a mirror or not, but it's a great checklist, right? When you're putting well, you get on the mirror, you look at your eye line, you look at your shoulder line, you look at everything, and you get a automatic, like a photograph of where I am, right? That should just be part of the checklist. So don't overthink it, because it's very good. It's just I'm going, okay, is there a way to make it a little bit better? Maybe.
So so Dave said, just so we're on the same page, if you're closed with your stance, the tendency is going to want to bring it more inside. So he was like, most right eye guys are more open, and then you can just do your thing, and even if you go closed, it's still more outside than you were before. So that can help sometimes. And like I said, it's to me, it's the last thing you do before you throw a free throw is how hard do I need to throw this? It's not, is my arm going straight? That's death. That's like Shaq throwing free throws. If you ever saw that, it was really ugly. You know?
It was pretty ugly.
Okay.
All right, so let's grab your 3D data. Is that okay? Warm you back up and let's see that.
So now comes the exciting part for me. I wanted to try and figure out how he's creating all this speed. We didn't see a big engine in the gym, right? So I know he's getting it from somewhere else. We saw a little bit on the force plate, we saw the vertical forces, and he does it really early. But there's definitely some other things going on in how he transfers power through his body. The only way we can measure that is with 3D. So now we're going into the 3D bay.
Have you ever been on something like this before? Oh yeah, it's wild.
The electric shock only hurts for about 3 weeks. Man, that's good. That's so good.
All right, so looking at the numbers, and this is definitely not a letdown. This is, I get excited now, right? So I can see where he's creating his power, and it's kind of what we suspected, but I think it's interesting to go through this. Normally on the PGA Tour, if we look at wrist set, okay, so how much the club, if we took the angle between the shaft of the club and their lead arm, right? At the top of the golf swing, most players on PGA Tour are right around 90 degrees. So they create about a 90-degree wrist set. Now on the downswing, most players will increase that lag. They'll go from 90 degrees to average 83 degrees. So they'll increase by 7 degrees. And Aldrich, if I look at him at the top, he doesn't have 90, he has 76 degrees. So he's already lagged more than most players, right? So he's already 14 degrees more than average. But what's incredible, like I said, most players will increase this lag to around 83 degrees. He goes to 68 degrees. And that's why the club almost feels like it's going to touch his shoulder. I don't even know if I can do that, right? So he's got this incredible lag. Now, what does that do? Well, when you come into the golf ball, into impact, right, the club is traveling linearly towards the target, and it's also traveling angularly. It's rotating, right? So what you want to do is you want to come in with linear speed and angular speed to try and maximize your power. A lot of amateurs will, at the top of the golf swing, they'll immediately start to release the club, and they get rid of all their angular, and now all they have is linear. And it's really difficult to create speed. So I always like to think of this as I want to maximize angular and linear speed.
Okay. Yeah, let's do another one. We'll do this last one here with the force plate.
Double plate ready.
Now what's really important is all that lag needs to be released or there's no point in using it, right? So a lot of times people who create a lot of lag, they end up not releasing the club and the handle just drags forward and it doesn't give them power. So we also look to see how much do you release this by the time you get to impact. And on the PGA Tour, the average is the shaft gets to 160 degrees. So this would be 180. There's a little bit of forward shaft lean. At impact, it's about 160 degrees, this angle. Right? With Aldrich, it's 150 degrees. Because remember, he has more lag, he doesn't get it all the way to 160. But if you start doing math, you'll realize If I go to PGA Tour, they get to 83 degrees. By the time they get to impact, right, it's 160 degrees, right? So if I look at that and I do the math, you're talking 73 degrees, 74 degrees of total release. Aldrich goes from 68 degrees to 150. You do the math and you'll see he's at 82 degrees of release. So he creates more lag, gives him more angle to release. In other words, he's releasing the head in the same amount of time, if potentially even a shorter period of time, so he has to do it faster. So what that all equates to is incredible angular velocity. And all those things match into why he hits the ball so hard. So some really incredible stuff he's doing with wrist lag. So not only does he create the lag, he's able to release it by the time he gets to impact, and that's one of his superpowers.
I'm telling you, man.
Look at that speed at the top, 2610.
So good. Don't ever change your swing. Don't ever let anybody change your swing.
Yeah, don't be messing with this.
Just my chipping.
Just your chipping. We can fix that.
Yeah.
You gotta learn the finesse game, that's all.
Yeah.
You got the power game down.
Remember I said I think it's between 1 and 2 inches of thrust?
Yeah.
It's 1.3.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all that said, I love so many things about his 3D. It's amazing how he creates wrist lag. It's amazing how he creates this X factor. His sequence is perfect. But it's also confirming what we saw with the force plates and out around the green. There is a little bit of early extension, so we see him moving a little bit closer to the ball. And there is a little lack of weight shift of the amount he moves towards the target. So the good news is it's confirming what we saw earlier.
So it's pretty much what we said. So
hit one, we just teed it up a little bit higher because
Yeah.
it was so low that he might be
Okay.
catching it in the neck.
yeah.
So let's just tee it a little bit higher.
Your sequence of how you time your body, your trunk, your arms is perfect. Like literally, it's what we preach. Like if you looked at our seminar today, you look like the model, right? So that's great. It's very efficient how you do this. To answer your first Genie question, how do I hit it farther? You could have more arm speed, but the reason your arms aren't faster is because you have a tendency of your lower body to get in the way. If the lower body was out of the way, the arms would swing faster, if that makes sense, right? So I just think, I get worried when you're moving forward like 3 inches, you're 1.3. You know, anything under 1, I won't even say anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is like half an inch to it. So I don't feel like this is a big swing change. It's just make sure you're close enough so that you can move away and you're not too far away.
Yeah.
And it'll get more comfortable. It's going to feel a little weird staying close right now. You're going to feel like, wow, this is weird because you're used to moving forward.
Yeah.
But if we can get you used to moving away, your arms are going to move faster. Right.
Can you do one for me where you actually try and release it as hard as you can?
Yeah.
You have so much angle that I think sometimes this is why you're catching a little bit in the heel.
Okay.
So you get so much of this that you're trying to pull up to get that club out, and I think that could be part of it. So just try and just feel like right from the top, you freaking let that thing get wide. It won't, but you'll never cast it like a hacker will do.
Going a little bit earlier with the arms coming down.
Yeah, so just feel wide, wide. Get that handle in and club head out, right? You generate so much lag that I think sometimes the handle has to raise,
Yep.
right? If we got the handle working, the club head working out, the handle would be more in and you'd catch it more center face.
That's full release.
Yeah, he just tried to release that more. Did it hit it any more in the center or still in the neck?
Still a little bit in the neck.
Still a little bit in the neck.
One of the things we always do when we're getting a player to try and manipulate their attack angle, in other words with Aldrich, we're trying to make it so his attack angle is not so down so we don't get that down spinny driver. So the things that we do, we get a little closer, we're trying to get some weight shift, releasing really hard. When you release, face opens up a little bit more, tee the ball up higher and try and swing up, try and create launch angle, right? So the mixture tends to start seeing that ball flight that we're looking for because that's really the optimal for maximizing carry distance. And the combination of those things is really what Aldrich needs to work towards.
I want to see one where you get closer and try and move away.
Okay.
That's true.
Let's just try that.
Yeah.
So your whole job here is to not shank it. Okay, so your whole thought is creating space on the downswing. Okay, I'm ready.
A little bit of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
A little bit closer.
Good. Just want to see.
Close at the center.
Let me see.
That was closer, wasn't it, to the center? That
I'm telling you,
sensor
you're
came
going to
up.
like that so much better. Yeah, so it's now 0.9.
Yeah, 0.9
So like I
thrust.
said, you were 1.3. If you're under 1, I don't usually say something. You just took it into range. I mean, that's if you do that, I wouldn't even have mentioned this.
Okay.
Okay. And like you said, you'll hit more of the center of the face because you're not moving this way. I don't know how to make that better, Dave.
Yeah. The fact that the sequencing is so good.
This is called the kinematic sequence graph. You'll hear about this, but have you heard of that before? Okay, so basically all it does is it looks at how fast your pelvis is moving, your trunk's moving, your arm's moving, and the club's moving. And what we found with the most efficient players in the world, it's like the lower bodies, they handle the whip. It should go first, right? You see the lower body go first, so it should peak speed first. Then energy should transfer to the trunk should go second. Energy transfer to the arms should go third, and then transfer to the club. Like amateurs, you'll see the club go, and then the lower body. You'll see all Alex Wickets. Yours, the red's the lower body, green's the trunk, blue's the arm. It's just the perfect sequence. Like it's just, the energy flow is perfect there. It's the same as like your kinetic sequence. Your forces are, when the forces are good, usually this is good. So, like I said, I don't want to change fundamentally how you swing. I just think because you kind of got a little far away, you're kind of with this perfect robot, you're moving forward and backwards. I'm like, I don't want to do it. If anything, I just want to create more space for the robot to accelerate your arms faster. Like if I look at your speeds, okay, like your lower body is rotating 430 degrees per second. We see anywhere between 400 and 600. You're 430, you're in the range there. And then your arm speed is at 1,011. Actually, that was faster. It was 960 when you were farther away. Usually we see this around 1,100. So I know your arms can get faster, but it's already getting faster the closer you get. So it's 1,000. And then here's where it's crazy. Club average is around 2,400 RPMs. Yours is about 2,600. I mean, you whip the club like crazy. So keep doing that. Right? I mean, honestly, after all this crap, main thing, just take that much farther forward. If all this data, that you take one thing from here, that's it. Just move a little bit closer. Stop moving your distance wedges left to right. Try and keep the bottom of the arc the same. And free throws, you're not looking at your hand. You don't care how much energy.
Yeah. Listen, the biggest thing is, in an effort to get better and compete with the best in the world, a lot of young guys try to do too much. You already have everything, right? Don't overthink this. What you need is experience, and you need to learn from the guys you play against. So when you play with somebody that either kicks your ass or is really good, you should be asking them questions about how to prepare, how to practice, how to get ready. Not about swing. Don't ask them about technique.
You never lose if you're learning. And I'm telling you another tendency out there in tour, guys like you that are really good, every swing instructor on the planet is going to try and come up to you and give you advice. Anybody tells you to change your swing, you need to say, thank you, I'll take that in consideration, and then run. Don't even think about it, okay? I'm telling you, you're going to hear some crazy stuff out there.
You don't need that.
You can't avoid it. You just have to, the way to say, hey, I really appreciate it, thanks, and then just keep doing your thing. Like I said, the good news is you're playing really good right now, so we'll save this. If everything ever goes wrong and you want to see what you were doing, we can now tell you to the millimeter what you were doing different. Hey, pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks
good luck.
for your time. Yeah, it was awesome.
Excited for you, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Trying to figure out some stuff that I can work on maybe. And just awesome to meet them, two big legends of the game, and I'm really happy to have their contacts now.
It's just fortunate for us that we get to see so many great young players come through here, and when you see someone like that who's only 19 years of age, you look at his kinematic sequence, it's absolutely perfect. You look at the kinetics, the way he's using the ground force and pressure is amazing.
They've got so much knowledge, and Dino as well with the clubs, learning a lot every day, trying to improve every day, and it's been great to use the people around me.
I mean, the sky's the limit. When you see someone like that who recently on the Korn Ferry Tour shot 59 and has already won this year as a rookie, you're starting to look at it going, wow, that could be a future superstar right there.
Great visit with Aldrich last year. It's been incredible to watch what he's done the last year and a half as a 20-year-old competing with the best players in the world. So I'd say the big takeaways here from Aldrich is you can get power in all different ways. And one of the ways you can do it is from your hands to the club head. So wrist lag and how important that is to be able to create speed. And flexibility, mobility, how important that is to be able to create power through your body, right? I think those are really important. Don't start creeping away. Don't add early extension. Don't stand up during your short game stuff. Those all lead to inconsistent contacts. One last thing here too is don't ever underestimate the power of your brain to transfer from one part of your game to another part of your game. In other words, if you're working on your bunker game and you're trying something in your bunker, don't get surprised if that same motor pattern starts to show up in your 7-iron on the fairway, right? And sometimes we don't want that to do that. So mistakes that you make in one part of your game can easily transfer to other parts, so make sure you pay attention to that. So once again, great day with Aldrich. Can't wait to see where this young man goes in the future, but I'm sure it's going to be good. So if you guys like content like this and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe and like button below.